Hello everyone, it's Kelly at Kennedy Communications, and today we're going to talk about our new lead tracking system, KC Lead Hounds. To begin, I'm going to share a graphic that really has drove our thought process to where we are today. This image shows you the life of a lead, and on the left-hand side we talk about the ways that we've generated first contact. So we've garnered leads through phone calls, web leads, people who've walked in, trade shows, etc. And we here at Kennedy have built tools to help manage those leads and speak to them. Things like thank you email template libraries, canned responses, and ways that you can go out there and professionally put your best foot forward. But today we're going to talk about this portion of the tool. And you'll see something here called ClickPoint. That's the vendor that we chose to work with. We started working with them towards the end of 2012, and they were a vendor brought up through Culligan's system. Corporate did choose to start the relationship and started to build a custom software for their lead tracking purposes as well. We here at Kennedy had gone through a long vetting process to find the right vendor, and I will talk a little bit about those requirements that they needed to meet before we did choose to work with them. You will not probably hear this name mentioned much going forward. However, I did want to mention that ClickPoint is synonymous with the words KC Lead Hound. They are the vendor that we use to build this tool. This portion here talks about sales management softwares that some dealerships may have in-house. Some of you choose to work with things like Water Sales Pro or Unco or Salesforce, and if you do choose to use them and want these two systems to talk to one another, we can get that accomplished. It can be a one-way conversation, or if you think of it more as a circle, we can have them communicate with each other back and forth. You would just need to reach out and let us know if you wanted that to happen. Again, I had mentioned those things like email template libraries where we have things built for you to go out and respond to these consumers. If that's something you're interested in, please contact one of your account executives and they can help get that set up. Just to briefly touch on this side of the graphic I'm showing, we are really good as a Culligan system to say, okay, the lead came into the system and we set the appointment and we went out, we gave them an appointment reminder, we installed their system, and everything is fantastic. We get them into our current customer group and we send them billing inserts and CCMP, and we're great at people that we convert. However, this portion down here is where we're not so good, and that's because things take time and everyone's very busy today, and the people that we don't actually get a sale after the appointment, or we aren't actually able to get the appointment at all, or we're unable to contact them via phone or email. Those people, because we're so busy, often get set aside and overlooked, and because marketing today happens so much online, these people make up about 80% of your leads. And so we here at Kennedy as an agency want to go back and talk to those people through a nurture campaign where we can take that responsibility off of you and your sales manager's shoulders and go speak to these people so that when they are ready to make a purchase, which is often sometimes not up until 3 months, that we are there top of mind and can get that done so that they come to Culligan when they're ready to make the purchase. So this is something we're looking towards for 2014. And step one, or phase one of this project, is to get all the leads into one place. And that's really what we're talking about in this whole KC Lead Hound today, is a lead tracking tool to get all of your activity into one place. So I had mentioned that we had a long list of requirements. We needed one vendor to accomplish all of these things, and I just briefly want to touch on them so that you know that we had the due diligence to go out and look for the right person to work with. So we needed one software that provided tracking on all forms of the leads, so phone, web, direct mail, etc. We've always had a great system in place for web, but getting that phone to roll up has always been something that has been a bit challenging. We also wanted it to be automated so that you didn't have to go in and double enter the lead issues. But we knew that a lot of times we have to have flexibility, so we wanted you to have the options to go in and manually enter those leads if necessary. Again, I'd mentioned that some dealers use other inventory and sales management tools, and we wanted the ability to tie into those if you choose to do that, and this system can get that accomplished for you. We also wanted to be able to monitor the lead response times and see when the leads are opened and be able to assign those leads to users and know when they've opened them as well. The second slide talks about a list of requirements related to the phone system, and again, we've not been able to have phone roll-up in the past tools that we've used, so this is something that's all new in this new tool. And so we needed it to be sophisticated enough to route customers to their appropriate dealerships based on their zip or postal codes that haven't been answered. And In the times that we are able to, we will be able to provide you with a reverse lookup service that can give you an address. So if we have someone's phone number from the caller ID, we can do a reverse lookup and provide you with an address, so then you can take that additional information and go out and run more marketing campaigns like targeted direct mailings. We also wanted you to have the ability to listen to the calls right within the level of detail tied to the lead, and this tool will allow you to hear those recordings from start to finish and have them tied to each consumer without having to go out to another source and get that information. We wanted to be able to generate tracking phone numbers based on the advertising medium, so we can tell you if radio brought in 5 calls or television or email marketing. And then finally, we wanted the ability to let you know that that call has happened. So we want to let you know that a call came in and where that came from, so you will see that level of detail within this tool. So really, we wanted this tool to be able to do more for you. So we've always been capturing the leads and qualifying and distributing them, and now we want to go back and market these leads and then do a deep analysis to see what's happened. And without having the activity in one place, we really couldn't get our arms around that. And so in phase 1, that is our focus, is to track the leads into one place. So the big change is the lead notifications. And so you'll hear us talking about lead delivery and the notification emails and the email alerts. And basically what that is when the lead comes into the system, an email kicks out to you letting you know of the activity. And so in our old system, you would see that at the top of the email, you would have all of the information of from and to, and you could really just see some basic information as far as what website delivered the lead. It was only web forms. There was nothing from phone calls. And in the body of the email, you would have information tied to the lead. So Kip Barden, his phone number, his email address. The main change with this new system is the way that those email notifications look. So the next slide shows you the new notification, and there are 2 formats. There is a web lead format, which means if someone's gone out to a website and filled out a form and hit submit, you will receive an email that looks like this. At the top, it's going to say client name, which means Culligan of whatever dealership it was delivered to will be autofilled. It's going to say that it came from KC Lead Hound, and it will tell you you have received a new web lead. And remember, this is important. This means that someone was on a website and filled it out. You will get specific information tied to the lead in the body of the email again, but it will be more detailed and laid out so that it's clearer to understand. So category will be something to the effect of co-op versus local. The type will be filled out there, and you'll also know which marketing campaign delivered the lead. You'll also then have the information that the consumer provided so that you could go out and contact them. You will have the ability to click a link that pushes you into the KC Lead Hound tool or the dealer portal if you choose to do so. The next slide shows you something that looks very similar, but the main difference is the fact that this is what a phone lead looks like. So when a phone call happens and someone has called that number, you receive this email, again, same information provided, with the ability to click on a link to be pushed into the tool. There's also a link at the bottom here. I had mentioned in the beginning of this that we had developed some specific lead nurture tools back in 2012, and of that are some lead responses that are professionally written that you can take and choose to send back to your consumers if you'd like to do so. If you click on this link, it's going to open up a PDF that has all of those responses for you to choose from. They are tailored to how the consumer actually contacted you in the first place so that you can be very focused when you responded. As always, if you have any questions about this information, you can always contact one of us here at Kennedy, and the phone number is added on the bottom, so you can always just grab that quickly if you need to. So if you choose to click on the link on this email, it's going to push you right into the tool. It's very important to note you do not need to log in, and you will be pushed into this level of detail on the lead. So something to show you here is that you are going to have these different parts of the lead. At the top is the background lead information, and if I go back a screen, that's really giving you this information right here. So it's giving you category, so you'll know if it was residential or bottled water or C&I. It's going to give you whether or not it was co-op or local, your marketing source, the form type. Our goal is to give you as much information from these leads as possible so that you can be more focused when you go back to respond to the consumer. And the middle portion of the lead is the main area for the consumer's contact information. So you'll have first name, last name, phone number, email address, any comments that they've provided. There will be a product interest if they filled out a web form. And you'll also have some other information here tied to the sales information and self-generation efforts. I will be going into more depth as we get further into here, showing you what these drop downs look like. The next screen is what a mobile phone user is going to see. So iPhone and Android both see something that looks like this. So if you are on a mobile phone, this is mobile friendly. You can open up the information within here. You will see the information of the lead. You'll also be able to go and send an email, forward a lead, or save any changes you've made within this. One major change of this system is that once those forms come into the system or the leads come into the system, they will automatically receive a thank you email. This message goes out right away, and the message within it, as far as the content is concerned, is very generic, and it just lets people know why they made the right step in contacting Culligan. And so it says, thank you for contacting us. You've taken the first step toward better water. So the message is a reassuring message so that it's not too specific. If at some point you don't manage the level of detail with the lead and a current customer receives this email, we have a backstop in place that just reiterates why they choose Culligan in the first place. So I had mentioned that we have done a lot of work to get some information provided to you within the body of the email and then also in that level of the lead hound details. And our goal is to give you as much clarity as possible. So we want to be able to tell you if it came from a co-op or a local initiative. You'll also be able to log into this place to see your corporate leads. So things like Culligan Man, your Culligan Matrix Solutions, Culligan.com, and any of your local websites with Culligan Corporate, those leads will track into the system as well. We also want to be able to tell you that the consumer was interested in residential or bottled water or CNI. We will give you a product interest so that you will know if they were looking for a water softener. We'll be able to tell you that it came from a specific marketing source such as paid search. We can tell you which form on the website they filled out so you'll know the process and the path to which they followed to get to the form they filled out. And again, we'll be able to tell you the difference between phone and web. So I promised that I would show you what those drop downs look like. And so here are some screenshots that have them expanded. And again, this is not something that you are going to have to fill out. When the web forms are filled out, they will be auto-selected based on the form that they provided. So I'm going to give you a scenario of how this works. Let's say I am your consumer and I go out to Google and I search for a water softener. And I see a paid search ad that brings up your co-op website. So let's say I click on that and I fill out that form. So when you go into the tool to see my lead detail, you are going to see all of these things auto-selected. It's going to show co-op, it's going to show residential, it's going to have water softener selected. If I click to the next screen, you'll see that paid search is selected because remember, I saw a paid search ad and clicked on it. You'll see PPC form because that's the form that's tied to those paid search ads. And all of those things will be auto-selected. And so our goal is that you and whoever are responding to these leads would call me and say, thank you so much. We saw that you were interested in water softeners. Currently, we have these 3 specials running. Are any of those of interest to you? You could say things like, are you interested in renting versus owning? And you could tailor your message to be more specific to what they were looking for. And it allows you to cut out all of that extraneous conversation that you would have had before to find out what they were interested in and cut right to the chase. It helps for, again, the busy world that everyone lives in and just helping people be more focused and do a better job at creating the appointment and then inevitably the sale. This slide, this image right here just shows you, again, you do have the ability to manually enter the leads if you'd like to do so. So if someone walks into your dealership today, you can go in and enter them into the system to keep track of them. And you can select one of these categories and you will know that you've had so many creative leads in the last week or month or whatever date range you choose to pick. So it just gives you more flexibility to use the tool. The next slide shows you what a phone lead looks like. So it's very similar, and again, this is called the specific lead detail screen, and it's very similar to what I showed you before, but the main difference is that at the top there will be the ability to listen to those call recordings that I had mentioned before. You'll see the call date and time, the duration of the call. IVR number means what number did they see that they dialed, and that's all specific to whatever marketing source we have it on. So there will be one for television and one for paid search and one for web, etc. And then there's a call result that shows you what happened with a call. Additionally, you'll see things like what category were they interested in, because we have them tied to the IVR numbers that we've designated. In the middle, again, are all the lead details to go back and contact that customer. So this is, again, a phone call that has already happened at your dealership, but you will have the ability to see that in one place, so we don't have to go count up the phone calls through a different service. And you'll also have the ability to go in and listen to those call recordings. Again, you do not have to log into the tool. When you receive those lead notification emails, you can click the link and get pushed directly into this view. However, there is the ability to log into a tool if you choose to do so. You should have all received your logins by now, where you have a username and a password. And with that information, you can come to this screen, which is kcleadhound.com, and you can log in. Once you've done that, you will be pushed into a screen known as the dashboard. This right here is giving you kind of the latest dealer news and what's going on here at Kennedy, and we can use this to communicate our message to you. Right now, all the information is tailored to KC Leadhound, but going forward, we may choose to use this for the things like the dealer updates and the creative briefs that we send you via email today. On the left-hand side, you'll see a delivery summary. It gives you your lead counts based on the day, the week, the month, and a total. And at the bottom, it gives you the same thing, but just the past week, and it gives you it on a nice little bar chart. So this, again, is the dashboard. If you were to click on the Leads tab at the top, and again, the first thing you're going to care about is this Leads tab, and additionally, you're going to then care about the Reports section, and you may use these other sections as well, and we will talk about each one. So if you click on the Leads tab, you will be directed to a screen that shows you the overall lead detail. And this is a lot of information when you come in here, but it gives you a brief view of what happened. And it shows you quite a few leads at one time. And you'll see a lot of different columns here. And so you'll see things like first name, last name, phone number, email address. Every field form that I showed you on this screen back here, to go back, every field that's here is going to be represented by a column. So if you start counting these up, you'll have category and type and marketing source, first name, last name. They'll each have a column within this view. You can drag them around and drop them to where you would like them to appear. We are working with a vendor to get those customizations tied to your logins, but in the current state, they do not stay when you log out. So just know that if you want to manipulate the data, I will show you how to export this information into a spreadsheet, and you can do it that way. So our goal with this tool was to give you some flexibility. So we want you to be able to go in and sort the leads based on an area of interest. So again, you can get that done in the tool. I will show you in a live view how to do that. And again, you can get that done by the live view and making those changes, or you can also export the information into a spreadsheet. You can group the leads based on a specific category that you'd like to see, and I will show you how to do that. Again, I've mentioned that you can drag and drop columns to where you would like them to appear, and so we offer you the ability to customize what you're looking at. And if you choose to use the tool to its full potential, you can make changes to the leads and save that information so that when you go back in, you will have an updated record for these consumers. When you're looking at the data at the top, you'll be able to edit the date range so you can see whatever information is most interesting to you. If you'd like to look at a last week, a month, a quarter, or just one day, you can do that. And again, you can see your Kennedy and your Corvette leads in one place. To continue, we also want you to be able to search based on various lead details. So I will show you an example of why you would use that when we get into the live view of this tool. If you are a dealer who owns multiple dealerships and you want to be able to log in with one login and see all of the activity at one time, you can do that. We will be setting up group logins. One thing that's important to note about group logins is that you can only be a member of one group, so you'll have to decide how you would like your group set up and the users within them. And we are more than happy to have those conversations with you on a case-by-case basis so that you can get the system to function as you would like. You can also forward the leads within the system. You can print the leads. So if you are a dealer who likes to print off a lead detail and leave those printouts on your sales reps' desks, you can do that, and I'll show you how to do that. And then again, this is a very useful portion, is that you can export those leads into an Excel or a CSV document. And so a lot of you today receive exports from us on a weekly or a monthly or a quarterly basis, and you will no longer need to wait on us to get that information. You can go and export that at any given time whenever you would like. So this next screenshot just shows you that grouping that I had mentioned. You can group them based on the type. So if you want to see your co-op versus your local leads, so that means if you have a local website in addition to your co-op Kennedy website, you can go in and group them and quickly get a nice view of what's going on with your activity as a whole. At the top here, you'll see these little icons, and I want to go through and show you what each one means. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, but some do require a little more explanation. So the top one is an envelope, and if you go back just one screen, you'll see that these are all grayed out when nothing has happened, but they do illuminate to whatever color they should be when something has actually taken place. So again, it will be a gray envelope until you choose to email the consumer from the tool, and I'll show you how to get that done. But if that does turn yellow, it means that the consumer or the customer who has contacted you has been emailed back. This one that looks like a calendar view is if an appointment has been scheduled for that individual consumer. This phone one is pretty obvious, but this means that if it's red, it is a phone lead, so someone has called in, and again, this is something that's very new for the Culligan system to see those phone calls in one place with your web forms as well. And then this that looks like a manila envelope and it's opened indicates that the lead has been opened. So very self-explanatory. When you've clicked on the open lead link, this will turn yellow so that you know that something has happened and someone has looked at it. To continue on, there's some action items within the tool, and I'll show you where these are located. But again, you can manually add your leads into the system if you choose to do so. These circular green arrows allow you to refresh the system to make sure you're looking at the most up-to-date information. This system does track leads in real time, so you shouldn't have to worry about that, but if you'd like to be sure, you can use that to do that. You can return a lead to the system. You most likely will not need to use this tool, but if something comes in where you don't feel that the lead belongs to you or it belongs to a neighboring dealer, you can use that functionality. Give us a reason on why you're returning the lead to the system, and it will get kicked out of your login. So you will not have to call us or email us to get that taken care of. You can delete leads, you can print the leads, and again, export those leads to an Excel or a CSV document. I had mentioned that you will use the leads section primarily, but there's also a reporting section. If you were to click on that at the top, you would see a report. There's two separate reports within that tool. One's leads received by the day, and the other one is a lead summary report, which gives you a more numeric view of your data, and I will show you that as we get into the live view. If you currently have a calendar system within your organization and the adoption has happened where it is a full-blown calendar system, we are not trying to reinvent the wheel, and we do not want to replace your calendar with this calendar. However, you do have the ability to set appointments within this tool, and I will show you how to do that. I'll give you a best case scenario of how I think you should use the tool. And if you have no calendar functionality, this will be something that will work fantastic for you. I do have a recommendation on a hybrid solution between your calendar and this appointment functionality as well. If you choose to use this tool, you can go in and create this and assign it to a specific user, and when that happens, that user will receive a notification that an appointment has been set for them, and they'll also be able to click on an icon that adds that appointment detail to their individual personal calendars. So it's a nice way to keep track of that if you already do have a calendar system in place. And then you'll see that the calendar has an overall view that I will show you as we get further into this live demo view. There's also a settings tab at the top. This allows you to update your passwords. So again, a lot of you have received passwords already. If you'd like to update that password and change it, you can do that. If you do forget that password, feel free to contact us at any time and we can send that along to you so that you do have it. You can update your contact information, but I'm really telling you that in a request to ask you not to do that because it does tie to the database. It does help determine how the leads get sent out. So if something gets messed up, your leads will not be sent successfully, and we obviously do not want that to happen. You can create new users, which I will show you how to do that, and you can set the permission of those users within the tool. So there are some resources, and one of them is a video tutorial, and you will have this link here. It's also located at kcleadhound.com. When you're going to log in, you will see a play button there. You will have a user guide. These dates are pending here. Obviously, we're past that point. that has a step-by-step process, and obviously this audio webinar is available for you to reference at any time. But again, my information is here where you can contact me at any given time if you have specific questions. I would love to talk about your problems and help you, give you a solution on how to use the tool. There is an appendix within this that talks about, again, that phase 2, which is the lead nurture. Again, I'm just going to briefly touch on the main stats on why in 2014 we feel it's important to talk to those people who haven't been ready to commit. So the things that are pretty interesting is the fact that companies that excel at lead nurturing, which is what we want to do for you, generate 50% more sales-ready leads at a 33% lower cost. And companies that automate this lead management, which is what we're saying we're going to do on your behalf, see a 10% or greater increase in revenue in just 6 to 9 months. And the most fascinating thing in my mind is that these nurtured leads then, when they are ready to purchase, make 47% larger purchases than non-nurtured leads. And that's basically because we've said that we're willing to commit to the relationship building of 3 to 6 months where we are going to continue to speak to them even though they haven't purchased. And so when they do purchase, we've educated them to say, you know what, you might have been interested in water softeners at the time, but did you know about our reverse osmosis or our total home solutions? And so when they do make that purchase, they're going to purchase not only the water softener, but an RO as well. And so that's kind of where we're going in 2014, and that's what's to come at Kennedy. So now we're going to show you a live view of the tool. So once again, I've showed you that you can go out to KC Lead Hound, which you'll see right here, kcleadhound.com, and log in. This is the tutorial that I'd mentioned that you can use for support. It's a very brief 1-minute video that gives you some overview. So once you log in, you can get that done by typing in your login information and password and hit enter. And once you do that, you'll be pushed into this tool. And so again, here's the dashboard that I'd mentioned where you'll see the information about KC Lead Hounds. You'll see the delivery summary on the left-hand side. It's going to show you your dealership information here, the date, the weekly summary bar chart at the bottom. And again, the important things are the Leads tab and the Reports tab. The most important things, I should say. So if you click on the Leads tab, you'll get this overall lead detail like I had mentioned before. So when we're in here, you'll see right away that the most important thing to remember is that because of alpha priority, corporate is the first thing you're going to see. If you want to see your Kennedy leads, you'll need to grab this drop down and select KC Lead. And anytime you change any information with the date ranges or the lead type, you'll need to click refresh on the right hand side. You'll see this do some work, and then you'll have the most up-to-date information. Again, if you'd like to change the date range, you can get that done by clicking in here and typing it in, or grabbing the calendar icon and selecting a date that you would like. You can pick whatever date range you'd like to see. And again, it's important that you click refresh list to get the new information. So I mentioned the open lead link on the left hand side. So if you get that notification email and you click the link, you'll be pushed automatically into the tool. And so this is going to be the first view you see if you've clicked on that link. But if you've chose to come out to look at the leads as a whole, you can go over here on the left-hand side and click Open Lead. So when you do that, you will see all that information that we've already talked about. So the background lead information is all auto-filled. This is not something that you've had to fill out on your own. This is filled out based on the programming that we've done on the back end. There is all the lead contact information. There is some sales information that you can choose to use if you'd like. There's things like business name and budget and industry market. This may be something that's very helpful for you for commercial industrial business. There's also an opportunity to say if it's a cross-sell. So if this Angela Harris decides to buy a water softener and you think that you can cross-sell, or if she's renting, you can select that and you could say cross-sell opportunity because you may think that she could benefit from a reverse osmosis system or things like that. You can make those notations within here. And you'll see within this lead, there's already been some changes made where you can create notes and save them. Some questions have come up on whether or not these auto date as you make notes and auto timestamp. And as you can see here, the answer is no, they do not make a note on when you've made those changes. So I would suggest again that if that's important to your organization, you mention the time frame that you've made the note and use your date and initials to make sure that you keep those changes. And then also something that's very important, you can make any change you would like within this lead detail. So let's say when you call Angela, she decides she wants to change her phone number. You can do that if you'd like. The important part is to click on Save Changes at the top. You'll see this little green circle, and once they've taken place, you'll get this message that says changes have been saved. Do not leave the screen until you see that message, because if you do that, you will not have your changes applied to the system. So please make sure you are patient and wait for that. Within here, we talked about some things that you can do in the tool. So if you want to print, you click on this print icon at the top. You'll see this works like this, but you'll notice that it did not work. We've had a lot of people ask, why is my printer not working? Depending on the browser that you're using, which maybe we need to go back to the basics. Browsers could be anything like Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox. It's the way that you get online. So if I just go down here, this is the Chrome icon, there's Safari, and there's nothing on here for Mozilla. But it's your browser that allows you to get online, and the browsers sometimes have things called pop-up blockers. And so right now I'm using Google Chrome, and you'll see that it did not work when I clicked on that icon, and that's because a pop-up blocker has prevented that to open up. And so if you look up here, there is this red X that shows up, and it says the following pop-ups were blocked. And so if I say always allow and click done, and then I refresh this lead detail, and once this loads up here again, and I click on that print icon, if it actually ever loads, it will pull up that printer to let you see what it's going to look like. So if you need help with disabling your pop-up blocker, please feel free to give any one of us a call. We can help walk you through that. But this is how you go in and print, and you'll see that it's a nice user-friendly printer view of what those leads look like. So to continue on, you can email the consumer from this tool. So I'd mentioned before, if you go out to this overall lead detail view, you'll see those icons that show up as gray. So this one right here says that nothing has happened. So no one has opened this lead because this icon is grayed out, and it wasn't a phone call, and it doesn't have an appointment, and no one emailed them. So let's say that we want to email the consumer. So let's open the detail back up, and we click on send email. So Angela Harris has given us her email address, and I click on send email. So what this does is it's going to open up the ability to email Angela directly from the tool, and you'll see that it has the lead catcher email address in here, and that can be changed as well. So I can change that to whatever I'd like. And here is Angela as the customer's email address, and I can go out here and I can type in whatever I would like, and I can send that to her. The problem with this tool is that it doesn't keep a copy of your communication. So let's say you email Angela that Friday at 3:15 works for a free water analysis, and Angela picks up the phone and calls you back and says, "I'd love that appointment that you offered me, but I can't remember the time that you said." There's nowhere for you to go and reference the time you offered her, because this doesn't use an email software to get this accomplished. So my recommendation is that you would BCC yourself, which stands for blind carbon copy, whenever you're sending an email from here, so that you will receive a copy of this email communication in your inbox. If Angela responds to your email, you will get a copy of the email string. But again, if Angela picks up the phone and calls you, you're not going to see that. So again, that's my workaround so that you will get a copy of that communication. So once you've hit send email, which I'm not going to do so that we don't email Angela, that email icon will show up as a yellow. So it's not doing that right now because I didn't do that, but this would be yellow. So again, the reason you would use this tool is so that when you log in and you have this overall view of your lead activity, you can quickly identify who has been contacted via email and who has not. And if that's a priority for you, you can quickly go and say, okay, it looks like these 5 haven't been emailed. Let's make sure we get that done. Additionally, I talked about the appointment functionality, so let's go back and talk about how you should use that tool. So we're going to open up Angela's lead again. And so let's go right back to the fact that Angela's on the phone and she wants to talk to us on Friday at 3:15. So you can click on create appointment, And you can come in here and pick what date you would like by either typing it in or grabbing one of these icons. So we said Friday at 3:15. And so we can grab the clock and say 3, and once you get increments that are not the even numbers, you would then come in here and type it in. And it's going to default it for 1 hour automatically. So here's her name, and I would suggest that you would put her address in here as the subject line so you can remember. And then any notes that you want to add to the lead. So Angela would like us to enter from the side door. So enter side door can be added in there. And let's say we haven't really talked about user managers or sales reps or delivery people, but let's say I want to assign this to my sales rep, Ryan. So I can select that and I can hit save. And what happens, actually I want to make sure I do one more thing. You can give a reminder. So I want Ryan to be reminded 2 hours before this appointment so he doesn't miss it. And so I can put a reminder in there of 2 hours and I hit save. So I will talk about user managers as we get further in here. But what happens then is that appointment's been created. So if I go back out to the leads, you will see that Angela's lead here now has a red icon indicating that an appointment has been set. And again, this is helpful if you want to be able to see an overall view of who has appointments and who doesn't. When I open the lead back up, you will see that at the very top of the lead is the next appointment date. It gives you a reminder of when that's happening. It gives you the subject line, etc. And that will all be there. Ryan, because I assigned the lead to him, will get a notification that an appointment has been assigned, like I showed you in that image before in the PowerPoint, and he'll be able to add that to his calendar if he chooses to do so. At the top here, you'll see this appointments option. You can click that, and what you'll see here is it gives you a day, week, or month view, and I always like the month view because it helps me see. So right away off the bat, remember we scheduled it for the 19th, and we don't see anything here. But that's because I assigned the appointment to Ryan. So if I select Ryan on the left-hand side, you'll now see that that appointment is there. You can click on it. If you decide that you didn't want to actually schedule an appointment, you delete it. You're asked if you'd like to delete it for sure. You say okay, and it's gone. So my suggestion for a hybrid solution is if you already have a calendar system, that you could use this in 2 ways. One, you could choose not to schedule the appointment at all. But then you won't have that red icon, and because I deleted it, it's gone now. But you won't have that quick way to say, okay, is this email for Angela Harris, does she have an appointment? Or you could, if you have a system already, you could do a blend. If you have Angela on the phone and she asks for Friday at 3:15, you'll see that Kennedy also has a calendar system, and we use Google, and we've all adopted it, and you can see this is my calendar. It's very busy. And so you can go out and reference, okay, if this is my calendar and you want to assign that appointment to me, is 3:15 on Friday good? Yes, it is. Follow the same process we just went through where you assign the lead. And again, I would get an email that I could add this to my calendar, and you could also go out here and add it to the overall calendar if you'd like to do that and assign it to the right person. So again, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel with the calendar system. This is more of an appointment functionality versus a calendar tool as a whole. And you can choose to use it however you would like. If you have any questions about how to get that done, please feel free to ask us, and we can walk you through a better solution. So that kind of covers the icons at the top and what those mean. And again, they will illuminate when something has happened, so you can see what leads have been open and what leads haven't. I'm just going to scroll a little bit here. So I'd mentioned that there are all those columns that we talked about. So here is the whole list, and if you scroll to the right, it goes on and on and on. So it's kind of hard to see them all because there's so many. But let's say that you decide that you want to see the first name and last name sooner. So you can do that by grabbing the column, by clicking on it, and you'll see that when you click it and hold it, you can drag it and drop it to wherever you would like. So if I bring it over here, I want to drop it right here, and I want the last name as well, because I think that it helps me call and follow up faster. So here's the last name column. I'm just going to grab it and start dragging it and dropping it, and you can put it wherever you would like. So I had mentioned in the very beginning that we're working to get these types of customizations once you've dragged and dropped saved, so that when you log in and out, those things are there each time. Unfortunately, in today's state, we do not have that ability. There are some workarounds where I suggest that you can click refresh and those things will stay, but sometimes you'll see that it doesn't always work and it's not a perfect system. That's where I had mentioned that if you want to manipulate the data by dragging things around like that, I would recommend exporting the information. So if you want to look at your lead detail from the 1st of July until today, you can always select export. And what's going to happen is you're going to get the option to save this somewhere. And so I'm going to save it on my desktop, and you'll see down here that it's opened up. And when you get that, then you can go and manipulate the data and move things around as much as you would like, and you'll have all that lead detail. So all of this stuff you say it doesn't matter, you can come in here and delete it all, and you can move your columns around to whatever you would like to see, and you can go ahead and sort things by co-op versus local. And a lot of people are more comfortable with Excel, and so if that's what you would like to do, we can again help you get that done if you need to walk through that system. You can also, as I had mentioned before, group things. So again, if you want to see your leads broken out by the type, separating between co-op and local, you can come up here and grab whatever column you'd like to sort by and find that and right click, and you can say group by. You'll see that this does some work and it will regroup your leads. So on the left hand side now you'll be able to see that when you drag this over, you'll have it broken out by co-op, and the next slide would show local. And then let's say you want to see it broken out by category as well. So you want to group it by the category. So you not only now see co-op versus local, but you'll see your co-op residential and bottled water and local as well. So if I keep going at the bottom here, you'll get to see all of these things that are broken out and grouped. And you can group as many categories. It's an endless opportunity to continue to group. If you want to ungroup the lead information, then you go back and you find it and you just right click again and select ungroup, and it will take those things away. You can also always come up here to the leads tab and click that again, and it's going to bring you back to that overall lead detail view where everything is ungrouped and it gives you that quick overview. So that's how you get the grouping portion done. Again, when you right click, you can sort things based on descending. So if you want to see the oldest leads first, you can go and right click and sort them based on the date of descending. You would just go and find whatever column you're looking for. A lot of people are very concerned about the status of the leads, which is one thing we should talk about. So you'll see that this status has opened, but let's say you contact someone. Let's see the name on this. You contact Lolina and she actually wants to purchase and you sell them. You can go in here and change the status to closed and hit save, and then you'll have that lead is closed out. If you're looking at the lead detail view or the lead overview view, you can then quickly identify the status to those that are closed, and again, you can sort that and not have to focus on that information. So it's very nice to be able to go in and sort and move things around and view the information that is most pertinent to you, because every dealer is different and we want you to have the ability to look at the information that matters to you. So you can also, as we've been looking at the lead for Angela Harris for quite some time now throughout this call, and let's say next week you want to get in touch with Angela, but all of these leads have come in since then and you can't seem to remember and you don't want to go dig. So there is a search functionality that you can go in and search any of the details tied to the lead. So since I remember her name, I'm going to go in here and type it in. It's important that you click on start search versus hitting enter. So I must have spelled her name wrong. So we'll clear this out and we'll go back. So let's just find that lead. I believe she's right here. We'll see. Okay, so we have a lead for Nicole. We can go out here back to the lead detail view, and you want to call Nicole and find her, so you don't have to go search like I just did. So you can come out here and search for Nicole, and it's going to bring up any lead that has those details tied, which is not currently working. You can, going back, this is how you would manually enter a lead. Something that's very important to talk about is that, again, I had mentioned, you're defaulted into the corporate lead view, and you'll have to grab the right selection to look at the information you're hoping to see. One thing that's important to remember is that these action items stay the same no matter what. So you can manually enter a lead from the corporate view or the KC lead view. I would recommend that you are always in the Casey lead view before you select that plus symbol, because that's where you'll be able to go in and select the self-generated effort portion of this. So when you pick that, you can go in and keep track. Remember, once you've typed in all of this information, you can put in as little or as much information as you like. You're not mandated to fill it out as in its entirety. You make sure you click Save Changes. Again, if you do not click Save Changes, you will not have all of the information that you just put in there. So that's the most important part of manually entering your leads. So that's how you would manually enter. Again, I would recommend that you're always in the Casey lead view when you do that, because you'll then be able to go over to the column. There are probably not a lot filled out at this point, but you'll be able to go over to the self-generated effort column and you'll be able to see the difference between what's happening. There are some other action items up here. Again, this allows you just to refresh the system. The leads do track in on a real-time basis, so you shouldn't have to worry about that, but if you want to be sure and that's something you like to do, you can get that done that way. If you ever forget what these things mean, you can always hover over them with your mouse and you'll see that this says New Lead, and this says Refresh Leads, Return Selected Leads. So again, if you have a lead that's sent to your neighboring par, you can do that. This is how you would delete leads, print leads, export, and the CSV option. So let's say that unfortunately you get spammed by someone 5 times in a row. Let's say these are all the same and you want to get rid of them. So you need to go in and select them. So you select leads by clicking on them, and you'll notice as I click around here that it becomes black. So if I want to delete these 5 leads, I can hold the Shift key just like any other keyboard functionality. If you want to click a random assortment, you can hold the Control key and click, and you'll see how they're all selected. And when you're ready to create an action, you come up here and you click on Trash. So everybody is going to panic because when I click the trash, these leads are going to go to the trash bin. So you'll see that it turns green and works a little bit here, and then those leads will be gone. But do not worry, you cannot break the system and you did not lose those leads. If you ever move leads out and you are worried that you did it in error, you can come over to this Leads tab and you'll see this helpful little drop-down arrow. If you click on it, you'll see Leads Manager, Returns Manager, Trash Bin, and you can ignore Order Manager. So that's the primary use of this tool in the lead details. I'd mentioned before that there's also some abilities to see some reporting. So if you click on the Reports tab, you'll see 2 different reports. Leads received by date, which is what I showed you in the PowerPoint, where it gives you a nice friendly bar chart. You can pick a date range based on what you would like to see and hit Refresh Report and it will give you a new one. You can export it into a PDF if that's what you'd like to do, and you can go ahead and save those and use them however you would like through these printing options. If you want to create another report that's more numeric, you'll also be able to go in and pick the lead summary report. And that gives you this view where it says, here are your total leads, and gives you the counts, returned, trashed, emailed, etc. This is where I'd mentioned before, if you wanted to use that email functionality, you'd be able to see that information within these reports. Additionally, there's the Settings tab, and again, this is where you create users. If you'd like to do that on your own, you can try. And go into there. You'll see in this sample account we have 2 users, but you click on Add a New User, you give them a username and a password, and fill out their contact information entirely. This is very important because this is how those email notifications get sent and the phone calls. And then in the basic permissions, make sure that you select yes for both admin access and view downline. You hit save, and then you could give the user that username and password information. They can go out to CaseyLeadHound.com and log in with those credentials you've created, and they will be able to see the information that you've given to them. Some other information tied to the functionality of the tool is now you'll see these users on the left-hand side. Once you've created those users, you can assign individual leads to the users that are in the system. So let's say that I want this web form that came in to be Ryan's lead. To do that, you simply select the lead, and you'll see that it's selected because it's black. You drag it and you drop it. You'll see that Ryan's name has become green. You let go, it will turn and it will say leads have been assigned to the selected item. You'll see right away here that this now says assigned to Ryan. Additionally, you'll remember that this icon was yellowed because we had opened it. So if I were the lead catcher and I opened it, it will turn yellow. So that indicates that someone has seen it. But now that I've assigned it to Ryan and he hasn't opened it up, it turns gray again. when Ryan opens up his leads with those credentials you've created for him, he can come in here, open the lead. Once he's done that, when we go back to that view, you'll see that the icon will once again be yellow, because now you'll know that, okay, Ryan's looked at it, and on this main level here on the Indianapolis dealer side, you'll see that that web lead I assigned has been assigned to Ryan and that it's been turned yellow, and we now know that Ryan has the lead and that it's opened. So it's a nice way to say, okay, here is the lead activity. Has anybody looked at it? I've now assigned it to someone. Did they look at it? So it's a very nice way to keep track of the activity in the system. There's another portion of the tool that I want to talk about, and that's the phone functionality, which we did not cover when we were looking at the lead detail before. So when this loads up here, I will show you the specific levels of detail tied to the lead. And again, we talked about sending an email last. This call option is something that's a little bit technical to describe on how it works, but I'd like to have it known as a relay, and that makes it easier to understand. So right now, I would suggest that if you're going to use this tool, you only use it when a specific user is logged in. So I'm going to give you a scenario that I am your sales rep and you've created an account for me and I have logged into the system. And this Arlen Newman has been assigned to me as my lead. And this phone call functionality allows you to keep track of the calls with the consumer, and they'll have phone recordings as well. So if I want to use that tool, I would be logged in as your sales rep and I would say, okay, I'm going to click call. What happens is that the first part of the relay race starts where the phone rings and it calls me as your sales rep, and my phone rings and I pick it up, and right when I pick it up, I hear as the sales rep a ringing tone in my ear, which indicates that the phone call is now in the second part of the relay race and calling Arlen. So that second portion, when I hear the ringing, is calling this phone number right here. Arlen will then pick up. He will have no idea that this call is being taken place through a relay system or a bridge system, but it'll allow you the ability to keep track of that phone call and have a recording of it. Once the call is completed, you'll see down here in the phone conversations, this will be saved within here. You'll have the date and the time that the call happened, and you'll also be able to listen to that call recording in its entirety. So if you choose to use that, that's how that works. It's kind of like a relay race, and you can keep track of those call logs and the recordings tied to each consumer. So that's how the phone system works. So going back, I believe we've talked about every feature of the tool. We are offering question and answer sessions each Tuesday in July, where you can call in and ask specific questions. As always, you have my contact information and can call and ask any one of us on how to use the tool. We are now working on creating the dealer groups that I had mentioned before. So if you have an idea of how you would like your dealer groups to be structured, please contact your account executive and they can help you get that information set up. We are also working on the delivery notifications based on specific criteria in the Culligan system to handle shared zip code issues, product differentiation for those people who do or do not offer bottled water, and those are our priority focus points right now with the Culligan lead tracking tool. So we are very happy with where the tool is today. We feel that giving you this overall lead detail helps you run your business, keep an eye on what's going on for your dealership or numerous dealerships. It also allows you, again, to see your corporate activity in one place. It allows you the ability to listen to your phone calls, to see them in one place, and we think that the options are endless with this tool. Again, we're very excited about 2014 and talking about the lead nurturing tools and how we're going to take that to the next phase. And if you're interested in the tools that we've built already for nurturing, please contact one of your account executives. I thank you very much for your time today, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you.